the U.S. election have for Europe. Europeans watching the race were concerned, if not shocked, that Europe played almost no role in the presidential campaign. And when it did come up, it was invoked essentially as a negative comparison. So the Republicans, in particular, used Euro-bashing as a way to define their vision for America. Mitt Romney famously accused Obama of turning America into a European-style welfare state, and he didn't mean it as a compliment. Now, this Euro-bashing rhetoric was clearly directed at a domestic audience and could easily be dismissed as having really little to do with foreign policy. But many Europeans were really genuinely dismayed when, in the last presidential debate, which at least ostensibly was about foreign policy, Europe did not come up as a topic at all. In fact, most of the debate was focused on the Middle East and China. The absence of Europe in the election raises, at least for many Europeans, the question, is the transatlantic relationship in trouble? Has the US turned its back on Europe? I'd like to propose that there's an easy answer to this question, relatively straightforward, and then there's a more complicated answer. First, the simple answer is that the transatlantic relationship is essentially stable. There is not a transatlantic crisis, and there likely will really never be a deep rift between the US and Europe. There are really too many shared interests and values between the US and Europe to lead to that kind of division. But the more complicated answer is that in American foreign policy right now, there is a notable shift away in emphasis from Europe towards the East. And this is the result both of the diminishing importance of Europe and the rising importance of the East, both the Middle East and the Far East. What Obama has called the pivot towards the East, right? This pivot will have long-term consequences for the transatlantic relationship and for the role of the US in the world. And so in my comments, I'd like first to highlight the change in relationship between the US and Europe. Then I'd like to think a little bit about what America's shift or pivot to the East will mean during Obama's second term.